Update, April 6th smiley face, Irving joined the Ben. Irving, for one, DA, Damon Amendolara, did his job. People took it, ran with what they thought would make a bigger hit, or a bigger headline. It is what it is. That's part of the media. But I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to clarify. I did not say that Jason Garrett was a racist. Never said that before. And a lot of people, just to say to them, you guys should probably read the article instead of just looking at a headline and making assumptions. It's the job of the media and the press to make a big headline, and they were just doing their jobs. So, what is the idea you were trying to convey about Jason Garrett? Irving, I feel like it's a personal thing. We always bumped heads. He's expressed many feelings to me. For me, it seems like he's kind of upset. I feel like he doesn't think I deserve to be where I'm at with the little effort I put in, I guess, to sum it all up. I mean, it's true. I don't do everything that I should. I'm not an overachiever. But, I mean, some guys have to come in early, leave late to go out on the field and do the same things I can do in my spare time. I'm blessed, it is what it is, and I feel like some people don't like that. It's as simple as that. Your analysis of that. Is there any racial component to that? How did that get inferred from what you were saying? Irving, I said that it's not so much racist, but I feel like he is socially awkward. I feel like it is hard for him to relate to people with certain backgrounds. For example, if I was going to sell a product for you, and he was going to sell a product for you, he'll probably choose me because I can sell to the tall people, the short people, the old people, the young people, where he can only sell to one audience. If that makes sense. I feel like he's only good with communicating with a certain type of audience, and I didn't fit that genre. And a lot of us don't fit that genre, so this had nothing to do with race, just his style of communication. Irving, yeah, his style of communication. Original story, April 4th smiley face. David Irving is not a fan of Dallas Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett. The former Cowboys defensive tackle said as much during a recent interview with CBS Sports Radio in which he told Damon Amendolara, host of the DA show, that he and his former head coach never got along. He took it one step further, saying Garrett struggles connecting with people of color. And while making it clear that Garrett is definitely not racist, Irving did tell CBS Sports Radio that, not many people get along with this man. Irving would elaborate, it's not just one person who doesn't get along with him. It's a lot of people, he said. I feel like I say anything, I feel like he needs to be more comfortable with people of color, to be honest with you. This is a league where there's a lot of people of color around and you're gonna have to deal with us. And if you don't know how to talk with us or relate to us, I don't know. It's a tough position, we just never along, and he's the only person I haven't got along with in pretty much all my career as a football player. Former Iowa State head coach Paul Rhodes, when asked if he specifically thought Garrett has problems connecting with African Americans, Irving told Amendolara the following, yeah, I think he does. I think it's a little uncomfortable for him. I'm not to say the man's racist. He's definitely not racist. Do not get me wrong. I don't know. It's just maybe he's socially awkward. Me personally, I know he has a problem with me because I don't necessarily work as hard as he thinks I should work to be as good as I am at football. I feel like Jason's one of those guys where growing up in football he was always the second-hand man or the third-string guy. I feel like he had to work his ass off to be able to even step on the field with some of these guys. Where me, I could roll over out of the bed with a hangover and outperform anybody. And I don't think he liked that. In early March, Irving announced he was quitting football on Instagram while appearing to smoke marijuana. His announcement came 6 days after he was suspended indefinitely for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. It marked the third straight year that he'd start an NFL season suspended. Even before the suspension, the Cowboys made it clear they had no intention of bringing Irving back for the 2019 season. When Garrett was asked about the 25-year-old on February 27, he responded with one of his shortest answers during a 40-minute media session at the league's annual scouting combine. "I don't want to get into any specifics with David Irving," Garrett said. "Obviously he's been dealing with some different things over the course of the last year and really was not a part of our team this past year. He's a free agent as we know it and will address specific issues with specific guys as we go." Randy Gregory, a former teammate of Irving's, was also suspended for violating the league's substance abuse policy. Even though it marked Gregory's fourth suspension since being drafted by Dallas in 2015, Dallas extended the defensive end's contract through 2020. Irving also discussed how he felt Cowboys owner Jerry Jones supported him during his time with Dallas, as well as Gregory and other topics with Amendolara. "We've transcribed most of their interview, which can be read below. The Cowboys' content is toward the end." Damon Amendolara: "Now I've read interviews where you have kind of wanted to clarify your reason for stepping away from football. Many people have said, oh, David Irving is retiring just so he can smoke weed. You said that's not the truth, that's a fallacy. What's the truth?" David Irving: "The truth is, I'm stepping away for a much bigger purpose. It's about everything as a whole, cannabis as a whole. Especially with the NFL, they're feeding us opioids. We get hurt all the time. We're gonna need something to manage our pain and our injuries. I just think it's really unfair that we're forced to take hydrocodones, especially with the epidemic that's going around. Marijuana is much milder, it's much safer. There's no, I don't know, downfall. Do you know of any?" Damon Amendolara: "No, I'm with you in lockstep there, in terms of the safety of marijuana versus this crazy opioid crisis we have in America. I wonder what the culture is behind the NFL's closed doors. Tell us, when you go to a team doctor and you have pain and you say, what should I take, what's the protocol there?" David Irving laughs: "When you ask what you can take in the NFL, they're gonna give you for one ice and stim. No matter what it is, you're getting ice and stim. And if that doesn't help then, you know, you're taking opioids. I have hydrocodone 10 mgs right now. They've just been sitting here because I refuse to take them. I'd rather use cannabis." Damon Amendolara: "If you post this within NFL circles, what do they say to you?" David Irving: "It's honestly a taboo, to be honest with you. It's not really something you can go to your medical staff and say or bring up. Usually if you bring it up it's you and your fellow teammates talking about how bad you're hurting, and if you're going to do it regardless you try to, sort of, hide from the test. The only way we can make a change in this league is if we come together and stand up. And I think we need to take it to the NFLPA. I think that the NFL uses a fear tactic to keep people from stepping up and being outspoken and trying to get a change. For example, if anyone has anything to say about an issue in the NFL, what do? Treat you like Colin Kaepernick. And in most cases it's like that, or you have to quit like me to make a stand." Damon Amendolara: "Here's the only thing, while I agree with you that the opioid crisis is crazy, and pain medications and painkillers from pharmaceuticals are killing America, and it's ridiculous that we don't allow you to use marijuana for the pain, you also knew the rules. And you knew that you couldn't smoke marijuana. And you knew you could take those painkillers. So where was your decision-making knowing that you were willingly breaking the rules?" David Irving: "Well, honestly, you know they have this little deal where supposedly they only drug test you once a year for street drugs. You get an email saying you will get tested one time between 4/20 and August 18th. So within that time if you pass the test, then you're good to go. See, me, I've been using since middle school. I knew I couldn't afford to fail a test. Never failed one in general with the Chiefs, in college, high school, anything like that, or with the Cowboys until this time. Because you're right. Pretty simple. You know the rules. It is what it is. Well, funny thing, on August 15th I wounded up getting a test back in camp. It was for street drugs, so I held out the whole time just like most people do. So I had my street test. Passed it. Immediately started using. We're in California for our camp. I guess a couple days later I had a steroids test. Now anyone knows who I am, you can see that I don't take steroids. But I guess I failed my steroids test unknowingly. A week later I had another test. I'm like, okay, is this for steroids? They said no. And I was like, okay, is this for street drugs? They said yes. I was like, oh man, I'm thinking I failed. I was like, did I fail my street test? They said, no, you passed it. What happened was you failed your steroids test and now we can test you for anything, and so they did. That's how they got me on the program. And I mean, there's really no one to hold anyone accountable. It's crazy. My PED test had no illegal substances in it. I guess they said my testosterone was a little high. Whatever it is, they got me on the program and now I'm tested 3 times a week. It's pretty much impossible to succeed at that time. Damon Amendolara, so you didn't take steroids, but you failed the steroid test because your testosterone was high. Irving, yep. And if you look at any picture of me ever, I don't have muscles just popping out. I'm not the most committed gym rat. I got a little winter weight on me all the time. I've never taken steroids. Damon Amendolara, so when you talk to other players, is it one of these where everybody knows, okay, just basically, don't smoke weed on 4/20ths and right before that and just lay off it for 2 months, and once the season comes around a lot of players do use marijuana to ease the pain? Is everybody understanding that's the cycle you're on behind the scenes? Irving, oh, yeah? Behind the scenes we're on our own cycle. It's safe to say at least 80% of every NFL team indulges. Not just players. That's the NFL as a whole. I'm talking staff, coaches, medical doctors and everybody. I'm sure of it, and everyone knows. Damon Amendolara, you got doctors and medical people within the league smoking weed around the same testing policy. Irving, oh, no. I don't think that's the thing. I don't know the testing policy. No one does. All I know is you never hear basketball players in trouble. You never hear baseball players in trouble. You never hear hockey players in trouble. You never hear UFC players in trouble. You never hear coaches in trouble. Who do you hear in trouble with this? Football players. And I don't agree with it. Damon Amendolara, now you say you've been diagnosed with multiple mental illnesses, manic depression, borderline schizophrenia, post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder. When did all of these come about in your life? Irving, I was diagnosed about a year ago now once I failed my weed test with the NFL. They actually sent me to a rehab center. I had to go live in there. I had to give my daughter up to whoever was available, actually, and go live on site for about 3 months. At first, I thought it was a horrible experience. But it wasn't. That's when I was diagnosed. I wounded up getting a lot of treatment. It wasn't so much about drugs. My thing is, how are you gonna give me treatment about smoking weed? I'm not addicted. It's just marijuana. What's the big deal? And the therapist agreed. They said, we're not here to talk about marijuana use. We're here to talk about why you even picked up a blunt or a joint in the first place. What's going on internally? That's what we need to deal with. Not only that, I got to be around people who are on these opioids and I've seen firsthand how it ruins lives. I got to talk to these people. I met some lifelong friends in there. It's a shame how the opioids are killing people. It's like the deadliest detox and we're being forced into it. It just doesn't make any type of sense to me. Damon Amendolara, but this is an incredible volatile cocktail of mental illness that you say you're dealing with. I mean, manic depression, borderline schizophrenia, PTSD and bipolar. How you make it through most days. There must be some kind of medication you need to take beyond just using marijuana. Irving, actually, not really, man. Marijuana has CBD and THC. It really handles everything. It handles everything from mental illnesses, we're talking depression, any type of stabilizer, mood swing, anything like that. Marijuana will account for it. Let's talk about CBD. CBD actually protects your brains. I don't know if you know this, but our bodies actually have receptors for this stuff. Laughs, and, I don't know, that's just something on its own. CBD helps with pain, inflammation. And here's the funny part. A lot of people have this negative stigma about even CBD. And if you ask me, it's because they're ignorant. They do not understand. People think that when you take CBD, that you're going to get high. No, not at all. You only get that psychoactive effect from THC, which still has medical benefits. High or not, either way you look at it, there are medical benefits from it. They're giving it to kids with cancer, for crying out loud. They're giving it to dogs to add years to their lives. This stuff works. Damon Amendolara, I think we've seen America ease up on the criminalization of weed, at least in terms of public perception, and you see CBD oil sold a lot of places. I mean over-the-counter plenty of places. I just wonder, weed, I agree with you, needs to be decriminalized in many ways, especially around the NFL and around sports. But I think you might be a little delusional if you think you can deal with schizophrenia and bipolar just by smoking weed. Don't you think you need a more significant, kind of medical look at that and treatment beyond just smoking marijuana? Those are really serious mental illnesses to deal with. David Irving, well, yeah, but that's what the NFL said. I mean, here I am on the phone with you and you hear one voice. I'm not sitting here talking to myself all day, laughs. If you ask me, I feel like the thing is with my test, or my test results, rather, I think we're forgetting to take into account all the head hits I've been taking, all the head hits we take. I've had about 4 or 5 concussions. Some have held me out of games. I haven't had one brain scan. Don't you think that's funny? I twist an ankle, I'm getting my ankle scanned. I break a wrist, I'm getting my wrist scanned. We have a concussion, we don't do anything about it. We sweep it under the carpet. Damon Amendolara, you are disappointed that the narrative around you is, oh, David Irving quit to smoke weed, and you say it's about a much bigger picture than that. And I can hear that in your story on your voice, but then I look at that Instagram video that you posted and you seem to be smoking weed in it as you announce your retirement. It obviously looks like, oh, that's why he's doing it. Do you feel like that was a mistake to be smoking in your retirement announcement on Instagram? David Irving, oh, not at all. I'm sure NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell loved that. Yeah, not at all. To those people, I've smoked without being a part of the NFL. That's what everyone was complaining about. Damon Amendolara, but you could see how that would alter the narrative, right? David Irving, yeah, I do. I do. Those who think that way, to be honest, I'm not doing this for those people. I have nothing to say to those people. The people that I'm doing it for know what I'm doing. They get the bigger picture. For those simple-minded people, I don't have anything to say to them. This isn't for them. Everybody who I'm doing this for has been very supportive. Honestly, I've had way more supporters than haters unrelated to football. I get a lot of support from veterans and retired veterans. They're kind of in the same situation. They deal with all of these, talking about mental illness, then they're forced to take opioids and they can't indulge in the use of medical marijuana either. So it is what it is. I smoked. I smoke all the time. It is what it is. If you look at it the way I look at it, I medicate all the time. I'm sure I wouldn't have got in trouble or anyone would have had that stigma if I popped pills on the Instagram live video. I popped my prescription opioids. I'm not worried about those people. I'm very comfortable and I'm doing this for a reason and I'm standing in it. No apologies. Damon Amendolara, the Dallas Cowboys have dealt with drug suspensions. Randy Gregory is another one, and it seems the Cowboys have had a number of these situations pop up. Do you view the Cowboys as having a problem within the NFL with dealing with players that use drugs? Do you feel like, perhaps, they're hemmed in because they're more open-minded but the NFL hasn't evolved? How do you view the Dallas Cowboys within all of this? David Irving, definitely the second option. Jerry Jones has done a great deal to help out with us and all his problem children, as he says. Like you said, his hands are tied. It doesn't matter. Jerry Jones is not the NFL, no matter how popular or how great he is. The NFL doesn't allow it. But our team, my former team, Jerry did his best. He pulled a lot of strings. He did a lot of things he could do to help. And as you see, he's still helping out Randy Gregory. It's a little different. It's a reason I'm not there, but as you know, Randy Gregory is a couple tests ahead of me, but he's still there. They're supporting him. They always have. I think we're all kind of hoping that we could do what we do and survive until the laws change. Damon Amendolara, but it sounded like what you said about your conversations with Jason Garrett, that he was not supportive. It sounds like Jerry Jones was supportive of you guys, but Jason Garrett said, "We don't need you. Go smoke all the weed that you want. Retire right now." David Irving, "Oh yeah, definitely. I came in after I was able to walk again for my ankle injury that I had back in October. I went into my meeting rooms like normal. He called me out, called me into his room, asked me what the hell am I thinking. I'm just confused. I don't know what he's talking about. Yeah? He was like, you should just quit. We don't need you. We don't need you here. You're not helping our team at all. You're a distraction." He said, "You've been missing drug tests, haven't you?" I was like, "Yes sir." He was like, "Well, won't you just quit? We don't need you anyways. You can go be an actor. You do acting, right? They don't drug test there. Just get out of here." He told me don't come back to the facility. Just get my treatment and go home. Damon Amendolara, was he aware of the mental illness test you had taken, that you tested positive for schizophrenia and bipolar? David Irving, "I don't know. That's the thing, I don't know. It's kind of them who sent me to do all this testing and whatnot. Either they don't know or they're insensitive. I'm a lean towards insensitive a little more. Jason Garrett and I have never really got along. To be honest with you, not many people get along with this man." Damon Amendolara, "Why not?" David Irving, "I wish I could put a finger on it, man. I really do. I just don't think it's one reason. It's not just one person who doesn't get along with him. It's a lot of people. I feel like I say anything, I feel like he needs to be more comfortable with people of color, to be honest with you. This is a league where there's a lot of people of color around and you're gonna have to deal with us. And if you don't know how to talk with us or relate to us, I don't know. It's a tough position. We just never along, and he's the only person I haven't got along with in pretty much all my career as a football player." Him and former Iowa State head coach Paul Rhodes. Damon Amendolara, "So you specifically think that Jason Garrett has problems connecting with people of color?" David Irving, yeah, I think he does. I think it's a little uncomfortable for him. I'm not to say the man's racist. He's definitely not racist. Do not get me wrong. I don't know. It's just maybe he's socially awkward. Me personally, I know he has a problem with me because I don't necessarily work as hard as he thinks I should work to be as good as I am at football. I feel like Jason's one of those guys where growing up in football he was always the second-hand man or the third-string guy. I feel like he had to work his ass off to be able to even step on the field with some of these guys. Where me, I could roll over out of the bed with a hangover and outperform anybody. And I don't think he liked that. Listen to CBS Sports Radio's full interview here.